Hi, all. I wanted to record another chapter and series from Rhonda Byrne's The Greatest Secret. This is chapter 5, Freedom from the Mind. And I wanted to really make sure people understand um, what is the greatest secret. The greatest secret is that you are the infinite presence of God, the loving presence of God, the all-powerful presence of God, whatever terms you're familiar with or comfortable with, the Spirit of God. In Christian circles, they talk about you are the tabernacle of God, and in other faiths, you're the container. You're the one that contains the presence of God and the power of God, and really of all creation. And so it's really coming to realize that's who you are. You're not your limited thoughts. You're literally limited, unlimited beings, the unlimited life of God in a body. And so the whole point of this is freedom from the mind. There's nothing wrong with your mind. There's nothing wrong with your heart and your brain, your whole body. God gave you one. They're divine gifts, in my opinion, to create life exactly how you want it. The only problem uh, that comes is when we start to believe things that are not true about us, where we take the limitless possibilities, the infinite being that we are, and start putting limitations on us. You're not good enough. You don't have this. Life is happening to me, etc. And then we start to believe those things and project them out, and our life begins to reflect our belief systems. So I just wanted to go through this as the freedom from the mind really is a realization that you are this infinite being. You're not your thought, you're not your feeling. You are the presence of God that realizes, oh, I even have a thought and a feeling. And since you are the infinite presence of God, when you become aware of those thoughts and you're observing those thoughts and feelings, they quickly dissolve into the true presence of who you are, which is harmony, which is love, and everything starts to fall into your life in divine order because that's how it was designed. And so I just made a couple notes right up front before we get into this. Your mind and body are divine gifts, and a lot of times people talk about the ego. In my opinion, almost too negatively. Ego is only bad um, if you think the wrong things about yourself. So you can't say that your mind and body are bad. If you have them, they're divine gifts. And so I just wrote the mind is the creative ability of God, the actual creative power of God. When you start to picture and visualize things, you're actually taking the energy and the presence or the spirit of God and forming it like a potter shapes clay into the material world. When you understand that, then you can get excited about dreaming. And, I shared the Cyan Bannister clip quite a bit. She's a prolific investor, investing in, Peter Thiel's PayPal and Uber and SpaceX, etc. And she says this. She says it's a lot less hard than people think. She said all you need to realize is you can start dreaming about how life can be, and magically everything's to fall into place. And that's really what she's saying, and that's what I'm trying to do with this book is freeing you from the negative thoughts, the negative emotions that you've been separated from God at any time. That's an impossibility. You've always been the very container of God. And so um, the mind is the creative ability of God to design life exactly how you would like it. And so when we're reliving the past or thinking about the future, a lot of times we use the mind to keep thinking and recreating stories about our past, especially if it was traumatic. And if you keep doing that and go, oh my gosh, I'll never recover from this, is this you don't understand because this happened to me. Joe Dispenza, I've heard him say this quite a bit because everybody wants to explain why they are in this situation that they're in. You don't understand. My business partner did this to me. My wife did this to me. My spouse did this to me. My husband did this to me. This is what happened to me as a child. He goes, I know, I know, I know. You've got the story of all stories, but you have these divine gifts called your heart and your mind where you can recreate the story and literally rewire yourself so you start to get different results. One of my early business coaches uh, said this is anytime he would hear people start to kind of be a victim and share why things are happening in their life. And anytime that he would say, they would share that this is because this happened to me, where something outside of you happened, and that's why you are the way you are or where your situation is. He would always say this to me. He said that, well, we've identified the problem. Why don't we think about the solution? Meaning, place your attention on how you would like it to be and watch how fast it shifts and turns around. In fact, there's a friend staying with us, and I think he's going to share this testimony this weekend where he was a little nervous. Some expected business things didn't turn out exactly how they wanted. And so he goes, initially, I got a little nervous and allowed my mind to take me on trips I didn't want to go down, which is, what if I run out of money? I don't have enough. And we'll get to that in this chapter, what the mind does. And then he said, you know what? Pain is a great indicator. When things get nervous, when it doesn't feel good, that's how we're designed. That's God's design to give a little switch to us to go, we don't have to stay in this condition forever. In fact, this is a trigger to go, oh, I'm using the divine gifts of my mind and my heart, how I feel, to to worry about things I don't want. And he said, in 4 days, I really just started to allow those negative emotions to go out and start to see and feel how great it would be to have abundance. And he said within 4 days, all of a sudden, this investment that he and his brother had done, hadn't thought about it forever, just exploded. And he goes, I'm always amazed at how fast it actually works when we use our divine gifts of our heart and mind to turn everything around. So that's really what we're trying to do. So if we're reliving the past, this happened to me and reliving it over and over and over, you're not living in the present. You're using your mind to think about something in the past. Or if you're worried about the future, what if I don't have enough money? What if I don't have enough health? What if I don't have enough love? Those are the big three always. You're using your mind to cause an unsettling feeling in you and projecting something that hasn't happened yet. You guys have heard me talk about Mark Twain. One of my favorite quotes that he ever shared is, "I've been." The, I'm paraphrasing. I might get this a little wrong, but you'll get the idea. He says this: I've been through some terrible things in my life. Some of them actually happened, meaning um, he's worried about things that never actually happened. So he was going through suffering because he was not staying in the present moment. He was using his mind to think about the past or projected into the future. Now, here's what we've seen and what science is really trying to show us, where there's God is outside of time. So this infinite being, this eternal spirit that you are, is outside of time. And so what's really cool about that is what they've shown is, let's say you really understand this, that you are the spirit of God. You are the actual energy of the entire universe. You're the presence of God itself. Does God know the end from the beginning? Of course God knows the end from the beginning. So if that spirit of God is in you, is it possible that that spirit in you, the presence of God in you, knows the end from the beginning? Of course it does. So it can look, let's just say we're 10 years in the past in our mind, and it knows what you're going to do right now in this time and moment. And it takes all of that into account. And it says, oh, you're going to be meditating and praying and thinking on these good things in this moment in 2025. And I'm going to take that into account, even though this is 10 years earlier in our mind or 10 years in the future. And what you do now, guys, what's is so cool is a change in thought and energy, a change in what you picture and what you allow yourself to feel in one place and time. The Spirit of God takes it all into account. And so, what you do today in this moment, in the present moment, and you'll realize that's all you have as she talks about this. Because once the future comes, it's the present moment. And in the past, you were experiencing it only in the present moment. So we have this divine choice and the divine gifts to think about or feel whatever we want at any time. Here's the really cool part of that. What you do in this time, in this divine moment, the Spirit of God takes it into account as if there's no time. And a change in thought and energy actually heals your past because it sees you doing this right now as if you're doing it in the present. So it heals any past trauma, guys, and brings it into harmony, and it creates a roadmap where you create a beautiful future. I think that's really cool. And so we have these divine gifts of thinking and feeling that life is perfect right now. We don't have to think about things in the past or use our mind to think about things in the future. We don't have to do that. We can go quiet my mind down for just a second and go, what am I doing right now? Because once I get that, is I am the infinite presence of God. I am the power of God in a body. And I have a mind and I have a heart and emotions. Every cell in my body are divine gifts to think and feel how I would like life to be, this ideal life. And it begins to take the energy of God and shape it into the physical reality that we call life. We actually mold and bend reality to ourselves. It's really cool. So the whole point of this chapter, I'm going to cut this off here and then do a part two of chapter five, is really you have these divine gifts. You don't have to use your mind to think about things you don't want to happen. You don't have to use your mind to continue to replay and relive traumatic events. If you use your mind and your emotions to think about only how you would like life to be in this moment, it actually rewires you. It heals your past. You'll be able to recall some of those things, but the sting, the trauma attached to it won't be there. I can just assure you, like for Barb and I, the first couple of years of our marriage, we didn't understand any of this. We didn't. Um, we really didn't have the best mentorship, people around us, etc. What marriage is supposed to look like, and we struggled. But what we choose to do today, like we say things like, "You're my high school sweetheart." If you go, well, that's not true. You weren't even lived in the same town. I know, but your brain, your thoughts and mind are so programmable that it starts to create new neural networks. It starts to be, this is really who I am. And any negative trauma early on in our marriage has been replaced to, this is the most amazing dream life we've ever had. Now we can use our mind to go, I know that's not actually true, but we actually believe it to your core because you've created new neural networks in you down to the very every cell in your body going, this is what they believe to be true right now. It literally heals that past and it creates a beautiful future. So hopefully that helps, guys, is you can use your mind and you can use your emotions, which is just energy in motion. You could call it how you feel. You can choose to stay present right now. I'm going to think and feel about how life, exactly how I'd like it to be. Oh, and if you do that, if you could just take a sigh, what could life look like? What if I had this much abundance? What if my relationships looked like this? What if I had divine health in my mind and body? What does that feel like? And it'll always be these feelings of, I'm so grateful that God designed this in a way that I'm loved and supported by every atom in the universe. That when I think and feel these things, every atom in the universe moves to fulfill what I'm doing in the present, and it becomes real. That's why Cyan Bannister, worth hundreds of millions, she invests at a fund level. She goes, I'm so excited because I've realized who we are. She went from a ward of the state, homeless in her teens, to this mega investor, and she said it's not that hard. She goes, here's really how it all works. I get to dream about how life could be. So she spends some time thinking and feeling how life exactly could be. Not begging God, not nervous, oh God, why'd this happen? And I'm in such a bad state because I grew up in this family, I grew up in with this sex, I grew up with this nationality. You all are divine creation. You all have the unlimited spirit of God in you. I'm just using some examples. You have a divine mind and body to design life exactly how you want it. She says, all I have to do is imagine how life could be, and magically everything starts to happen. The right people in the entire universe show up in my life and make things exactly how I just imagined and felt. That's the cool part. That's the body. So we don't have to allow ourselves to be slaves of negative thinking and feeling. That's the whole chapter, freedom from the mind. We can allow ourselves to be free.